polar bear, or Ursus maritimus, is a hypercarnivorous species of bear, known for its translucent fur that appears white from reflecting visible light. Its native range lies largely within the Arctic Circle, encompassing the Arctic Ocean and its surrounding seas and land masses, which includes the northernmost regions of North America and Eurasia. This includes Canada, which is home to 80% of all polar bears. Its diet consists of seals and Arctic fox. Polar bears also scavenge on marine mammal carcasses. They are the largest land carnivore, with some males weighing 450 kilograms and 2.4 meters in height. Polar bears are mammals, part of the order Carnivora and family Ursidae. They are proficient swimmers and often hunt prey in the ocean. They can reach a top speed of 40 kilometers an hour and 6 kilometers an hour in the water. Unfortunately, their conservation status is vulnerable with a decreasing population. Much of this is due to the harsh effects of climate change and melting sea ice. Now let's talk about their ancestors. I will now talk about my first extinct ancestor of the polar bear, and that is Brasylodon quadrangularis, the oldest recorded mammal. Roughly 12 to 20 centimeters long, Brasylodon quadrangularis was a small, shrew-like creature that roamed the earth 225 million years ago. And this ancestor, I'm mainly going to focus on a homologous trait. The detention, which is the teeth, show that it was most likely an insectivore that feasted on small bugs. The genus is monotypic, meaning the only species in this genus is Brasylodon quadrangularis, and it belonged to the family Brasylodontidae. Recent fossil records show that Brasylodon quadrangularis had diphyodonty, meaning two successive sets of teeth, a trait found in nearly all mammals, including us humans. We have our baby teeth and our adult teeth. Brasylodon quadrangularis lived during the Norian age of the Jurassic period and scurried under the feet of the first dinosaurs in modern-day Brazil, so this thing is old. It survived two mass extinction events, including the asteroid strike that wiped out non-avian dinos 66 million years ago and ultimately enabled mammals to diversify across the planet. The most notable homologous feature from Brasylodon quadrangularis that nearly all mammals share is that two successive sets of teeth, that diphyodonty. By contrast, reptiles and some other creatures regenerate teeth many times over during their lives. Diphyodonty is part of a complex process of skull anatomy changes during the early stages of a mammal's life, which is linked to sucking milk and other mammalian traits. And Brasylodon quadrangularis is who we have to thank for that. I will now talk about the first member of the order Carnivora, and that is the Myiacids and the family Myiacidae. So the Myiacidae family are an extinct family that lived in North America, Europe, and Asia during the Paleocene and Eocene epochs, 65 to 34 million years ago. And I'm going to focus mainly on adaptations and specifically a vestigial structure that is now seen in the polar bear. So the Myiacids and Myiacidae are the family that have believed to have evolved into the modern order Carnivora. They were small marten-like carnivores with long, thin bodies and long tails. Some were arboreal and lived in trees, and others on the ground. They possessed a homologous feature that all carnivores have, and that is the blade-like teeth, carnassials. These teeth function in slicing meat, cutting tough sinew, and eating flesh. And these are necessary features for animals that primarily consume other animals. A vestigial structure of the polar bear can be partly attributed to the Myiacidae, and this is the polar bear's 5-inch long vestigial tail. And since every carnivoran has a tail, it seems fair to attribute part of this trait possession to the Myiacids, which had tails. I would like to attribute this trait ideally to the first mammal, but not all mammals have tails. That's seen in humans and apes. And tails are used for many reasons. For animals, for example, balance, defense, swimming, navigation, warmth, sex appeal, etc. But the polar bear has no use for its little tail. The Myiacids did for probably a few of these reasons. Over time, the Myiacid family diverged into new genuses and species, each specializing to different foods and habitat. This kind of adaptive radiation will lead to dogs, weasels, raccoons, cats, hyenas, all different carnivorans, but specifically bears. And all modern carnivora are related to the Myiacidae. So on that note, time to talk about the first bear, Ursavis almensis. Also known as the dawn bear. Ursavis almensis was the last species to evolve in the Ursavis genus and is believed to have given rise to the Ursus line, which is modern bears. I'm going to mainly focus on biogeography for this ancestor. So Ursavis almensis is the first recognized species of true bear known to have existed. It lived during the early Miocene epoch, over 20 million years ago, in, at the time, a subtropical Europe. Fossil records suggest the genus dispersed from Europe through Asia and then from Asia into North America roughly 20 million years ago. It was about the size of a fox terrier, so like a small dog, and was dog-like in its appearance. It was believed to have hunted mainly in trees, eating vegetation and insects, and the Ursavis line became extinct 8 to 7 million years ago when climate in the northern hemisphere became drier. and the subtropical forests that it used to roam became deserts. So by the Pleistocene epoch, which is 1.8 million to 10,000 years ago, roughly, its descendants had evolved into the largest carnivorous mammals ever known. These bears adapted to their unique environments, diets, and ecological changes. This adaptive radiation gave birth to large brown bears, panda bears, black bears, and of course, polar bears. So the next ancestor is Ursus maritimus tyrannus, or the tyrant polar bear. Ursus maritimus tyrannus is recognized as the first subspecies of polar bear. And today I'm going to mainly focus on allopatric speciation and the adaptations that resulted from that. So fossils were discovered at the Kew Bridge in London, England. These fossil records showed similar bone structure to the brown bear of today, and it is believed that allopatric speciation led to the development of the tyrant polar bear, when a large number of Siberian brown bears became separated by glaciers, isolating the bears that would evolve into Ursus maritimus tyrannus. The habitat for this bear began as far south as England and the northern Spanish coast, and as they moved farther north, they adapted to the harsh Arctic environments. The tyrant polar bear was one of the largest carnivorous land mammals of all time. It was much larger and more shaped like a brown bear than the modern polar bears, and they're believed to have measured up to 12 feet in length and weighed over 2,500 pounds on average. The diet of Ursus maritimus tyrannus is assumed to have moved from that of a Siberian brown bear to the modern polar bear, which is more carnivorous, especially after they were separated and adapted over thousands of years. They were capable of killing buffalo and woolly mammoths. The isolated brown bear population is believed to have quickly decreased in number as a result of harsh environmental pressures, and only those capable of adapting to the changing environment would survive. So, to adapt to the new Arctic environment, Ursus maritimus tyrannus developed features that are now seen with modern polar bears. This included a dense white oily coat to camouflage with the environment and repel water, as well as a thick layer of body fat which insulates and provides buoyancy, large web paws to help swim through the water, and to preserve body heat, their ears and tails shrunk. Ursus maritimus would eventually evolve into today's modern polar bears. So the final ancestor I'm going to talk about and look at is the Irish brown bear, or Ursus arctos, and it's an extinct subspecies of the brown bear. And I'll be focusing on gene flow, which is the introduction of genetic material by interbreeding from one population of a species to another, thereby changing the composition of the gene pool of the receiving population. So the Irish brown bear, it was living much like brown bears would do today, scavenging and grazing. It would have eaten red deer and Irish hare, as well as fallen nuts, fruits, and herbs. The most famous fossils were found in County Clare. This fossil evidence, which is roughly from 10,000 BC, showed that one of the bear's patella had butcher cut marks, meaning the Irish people were hunting the bear. And this could be one of the reasons for its extinction, which is believed to have happened roughly 2,500 years ago due to deforestation, loss of habitat, and human hunting. So the fascinating thing, the gene flow of this ancestor. DNA studies have shown that the Irish brown bear was an intermediate between the modern brown bear and modern polar bear, and it's believed that the Irish brown bear interbred with archaic polar bears during the Pleistocene epoch. Modern polar bears share a distinct DNA sequence passed down the female line with their now extinct brown bear ancestors. This discovery was made after analyzing DNA and mitochondria that are only passed down from a mother to her offspring. And climate change is believed to have produced these mating opportunities for these two species at various times in the past 100,000 years. So 10 Irish brown bears from the Ice Age period between 10,000 and 38,000 years ago had the maternal DNA that is now seen in every polar bear. That is gene flow, and that is really awesome. So to wrap up, the polar bear's ancestors in this presentation have helped shape it into the animal it is today. Ursus quadrangularis with its two sets of teeth and mammalian traits, the Myiasis for carnassial teeth and vestigial tail, Ursavis almensis, enabling the Ursus gene to spread across the world, Ursus maritimus tyrannus, adapting to acquire the traits and appearance of modern polar bears, and the Irish brown bear, Ursus arctos, for its distinct gene flow. Thank you for listening to my presentation, sir. Have a great summer.